Hi, my name is Joey.
Hi, my name is Shauna, and we're here today to introduce you to the
Vanier Fitness Appraisal.
You're going to do the Vanier Fitness Appraisal in each one of your phys ed classes, your 101, your 102, and your 103. You need this form to do the fitness appraisal, which you can find at the back of your manual, or your teacher will send it to you on Omnibox. So all the tests that you're going to do are on the form. We do the form on the day of the fitness appraisal, and your job is when the test is done, you flip it over, you're going to have questions for your respective classes that you hand in to your teacher. You'll notice on the form that there's two columns. A lot of the teachers do the test twice. We'll do it once at the beginning of the semester, and then we'll do it once at the end, usually around week 10 or 11. Because we want you to be able to see improvement throughout the semester if you're working on your fitness and improve on some of the tests. So have a good fitness appraisal.
Good luck. The fitness appraisal is to get you an idea of your fitness level. It's not a judgment on how good you are as a person. It's to help you track your progress through your physical education career here at Seja. Good luck.
Hi everybody, we're talking about heart rates. So during the fitness appraisal, you're going to take 4 different heart rates. The first heart rate that you take immediately when you wake up in bed on the day of or during the week of the fitness appraisal is your resting heart rate. Now the resting heart rate, you find your pulse, you take your number for 30 seconds, then you take that number and you multiply by 2. Now remember, this is the only test where there is a rating, okay? You find your rating on the chart based on your gender or your age. The next heart rate that you're going to take is the pre-exercise heart rate. Now this heart rate is taken right before the fitness appraisal for 10 seconds. Then you take that number and you multiply by 6. Now the 2 final heart rates are taken after the 12-minute run. The first one is immediately after the 12-minute run is done. That is your post-exercise heart rate. Again, take for 10 seconds, multiply by 6. And then 3-minute recovery heart rate, which is obviously taken after 3 minutes post-run, 10 seconds, multiply by 6. Now these are just numbers that give you an idea of your heart rate and your recovery.
Okay, so we've come to the body composition part of the test, which is one of the 5 components of fitness. You're going to do 3 tests. You're going to do a body mass index test where we need to get your height and your weight. We have scales to measure your height and weight here at Vanier, or you can measure your weight at home. You basically just need to have those 2 numbers so that you can look at the chart and get your score. Then we're going to measure your waist and your hip. And those measurements you're going to use for the fat distribution test. One of them is called the waist-to-hip ratio, and the other one's called the waist-to-height test. So there's a place on your chart for you to put all the measurements that you have, and you use those when you refer to the charts, and we're going to explain those to you as we go along.
The first body composition test that you'll have to complete is the BMI test, which stands for Body Mass Index. In order to find your body mass index, you need your height and your weight. You can take these measurements at school, or you can take them at home in the privacy and comfort of your own living space. Once you have your height and weight, you can consult the chart or an online BMI calculator to get your BMI. Find your height, follow along until you match up with your weight, and where the 2 intersect is your BMI. Now, one of the things you'll have to write down on your sheet is what a healthy range of weight is for your height. So once you've found your height, what weight falls in that green space for you? You can consult the Body Mass Index verbal rating sheet to get your verbal rating for your BMI. Now, Body Mass Index is a tool that we use. It's not a perfect tool, but it's a tool nonetheless. And when used in conjunction with the other tools for the body composition tests, you get a better picture of your overall body composition. Because it only takes into account your height and your weight, it's not always accurate amongst everyone. Let me show you an example. Over here we have Mark Longpre, athlete extraordinaire, and when he takes his height and his weight and goes to the chart, he gets a BMI that says he's overweight. Now that's clearly not an accurate picture of his health. He had an overweight rating because of his outrageous amount of muscle mass. Similarly, if you have a very low amount of muscle mass, the BMI might say that you're healthy, when in fact, you still have a problem with a very elevated amount of body fat. Here's an example just to give you an idea of 2 people, equal height, equal weight. One's a bodybuilder, one's a couch potato, and they have the same BMI. That's why we have to do the other tests in the body composition section of the fitness appraisal.
All right, so the second body composition test we're going to do is called the waist to hip ratio. This is a fat distribution test, so we're trying to figure out where on your body you store your weight, and I'll explain to you that as we go. So what you need is your waist measurement and your hip measurement. We ask that you either get a teacher to do it or get one of a student in your class to help you out. You go on the side. We're going to take your waist measurement. It's usually about 1 inch above the belly button, which is at the smallest part of your waist. You cross the tape over, you get the number in centimeters. And then you do your hip, and with the hip, we go down a little bit, and we're trying to find where your bum sticks out the most, basically. So the widest circumference of your hip. You take those measurements, record it. We have a calculator. You're going to do waist measurement divided by your hip measurement, and it's going to give you your number of like 0.7, 0.8. And you have a verbal rating chart for you to look at. So basically what this is doing, it has no inference if I have extra body weight or it has nothing to do with body weight. It's trying to figure out your shape. Some of us store more fat on the top of our body, and we're going to end up with an apple shape. Whereas some people store more weight on the bottom of their body, and we're going to be more of a pear shape. Joey's more of a banana. He kind of stores his weight all the way up and down equally. The major concern is if I'm storing extra body weight on the top part of my body, closer to my heart and my internal organs, that is what seems to pose a risk. So when I combine that with the body mass index test, if the body mass index test is telling me I'm overweight, and now I come to this test and it's telling me I'm at high risk, it's kind of proving that maybe I'm carrying extra weight around my upper body, and that's really what we're trying to concern. I may have a high risk rating, but my body mass index is very, very healthy. So I'm not so concerned about my body weight at this point, but I am concerned that I do have the shape that if I were to gain weight, I could end up having health risks and cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and that's what we want to stay away from.
Now welcome to the third and final body composition test, the waist to height ratio. Now you have to have your waist and height in centimeters, which you've already gotten doing the other test previously. Now, once you get that, you do the division of your waist into your height, and it'll give you a ratio. Now you want to be around 0.5. Now remember, this test is a fat distribution test. So if you're much over the 0.5, you could be at risk for certain diseases such as high blood pressure, diabetes, and so on.
Great, now you're done the body composition test for the fitness appraisal. If you're satisfied with your results, there's some things that you might want to do to maintain that level of body composition. If you're unhappy with your results, there are some small lifestyle changes that you can make in order to improve your body composition and your health in the long term. The key to body composition is all about balance. Balancing between your diet and your exercise, your calories in and your calories out. So speaking of diet, Mark, what are some things that I might want to include in my diet in order to have a healthy life?
Well, Joey, you should be eating foods that are high in nutrients and low in calories. For example, fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and foods that are very high in fiber.
All right, well, what were some things that I might want to cut out of my diet? Shauna, what should I stop, what should I eat less of?
Well, you want to eat less of low nutrient foods like sugar, just straight sugar. Stop drinking soft drinks, lower juice intake, decrease fried food intake, which tends to have a lot of high calories, processed food, things in bags, things that are prepackaged, so we don't necessarily know exactly how many calories and fat and sugar are in them.
So that gives me an idea of what I need to do in terms of my diet, but I hear exercise is a pretty big deal too. What should I do about that?
Exercise is huge. One small thing that you can do is just every day try and do 30 to 60 minutes of activity. You can walk more, you can take the stairs more, you can garden, you can shovel, just be more active throughout the day.
You know, it's also a good idea to include some regular cardiovascular activity. Maybe jogging, biking, swimming, something like that. 2 to 3 times a week would be a good amount. I think resistance training is also a good idea.
It's very important, Joey. So you should be doing muscle training about 2 or 3 times a week. Now remember, the great thing about that is it increases muscle mass and lowers fat distribution, which increases your body's metabolism.
All right, so we are now moving on to the muscle endurance component of fitness. And one of the first tests we do is called the wall squat test, where basically Joey and Mark here, they're going to sit down full 90 degrees at your knees, okay, and full 90 degrees at your hip. You have two choices with your hands. You can cross them over your shoulders or you can go like this. We don't want you putting them on your hands and slipping. And try and push through your heels, and basically you're trying to stay there as long as you can. After about 30-40 seconds, you might start to feel a little shaking going on in your knees. That's just lactic acid starting to build up, and we're trying to see how long you can endure and keep your muscle contraction. The longer you can stay, obviously, the more muscle endurance you have. You want to improve on this test, you practice the wall squat, you can do jump squats, squats, lunges in your muscle conditioning program, and you'll see your leg endurance improve in no time. Keep going, guys!
Now it's time for the front plank test. This is a test for your muscular endurance of your core muscles. You're going to start by placing your elbows on the mat directly underneath your shoulders and your toes on the floor. You want to have a straight line from your head all the way down your back through your heels. The objective is to hold this position as long as you can. Once you start to sag or you start to come up, your time is done.
Welcome to the vertical jump test. This is the only strength test that we have during the Vanier College Fitness Appraisal. So the first thing Shauna's going to do is measure her standing height. Very close to the board, arm in full extension. I'm going to make a mark. She's going to step away. She's allowed one big step backwards, then one big step forwards, full squat, full extension, and then she gets her vertical jump. I do the subtraction. I give her a number. Now for this test, you're allowed 2 attempts. So if you're not satisfied after your first, feel free to do it again.
Hi, Vanier students. Now you're going to do the balance test. In order to do the balance test, you need to balance on one leg. The other leg needs to be touching your balanced leg, like so. Your hands must be placed on your hips. And number 3, your eyes have to be closed. Good job, Mark. If any of these 3 things change, if you open your eyes, if your hands leave your hips, if your foot starts kicking around or touches the ground, and even if you start hopping on that one foot, that's a popular move, the test is over for you. Look at how much time went by, and that's your score. Don't worry if you're not happy with your first score, you can always try it again. Good luck! Next we have the 1-minute curl-up test. The goal is to do as many curl-ups as you can in 1 minute. This is a muscle endurance test, and it's very tempting to hold your partner's feet, but don't cheat. The movement consists of moving your shoulders from the mat to your wrists past your knees. So before we start the test, we're going to measure out how far you have to reach to be successful, and the partner who's counting can keep their hand there to help the partner who's doing the test to know how far they need to go to be successful. Then, when the time starts, we do as many as we can, and I'm counting. 2, 3. And if they don't make it far enough, I'm not going to count for them. Good luck, folks.
All right, so now we're at the chair dips test, which is a muscle endurance test for your tricep muscles and your shoulders. So we're going to do a chair dip. So you're just going to put your hands under your bum. Your thumb should be touching your bum. And he's going to move his bum off the chair. You want your legs straight. For some of you, that's going to be challenging, but for the test, we try and do this with straight legs. At home, when you're practicing, if you want to do more reps, you can bring your knees in. Joey will show you, and the test is a little bit easier. But for the test, we want to see how many you can do with your legs straight, and you go down and up as much as you can. Make sure you keep your back and your bum close to the bench. Okay, don't put your hips forward because it's going to really, really hurt your shoulders. So we stay nice and close. Your partner is behind you, making sure that the chair doesn't move, and he's going to help you count. So here we go. Up he goes. Okay, so you want to do a 90-degree bend at your elbow and a full extension on the way up. You do as many as you can, pump them out. And there you go.
Now we have our side hop agility test. The challenge is to do as many as you can in 1 minute. 1 is jumping to the right, to the center, to the left, and back to the center. As the partner who's not doing the test, it's my responsibility to count so that my partner can just focus on doing as many as he can. Good luck. Here we have the modified push-up test. Shauna is set up in a way that her shoulders, hips, and knees create one line. Don't stick your butt out. From here, she's going to lower down until her chest touches the block, and then push all the way back up to straight arms. That's 1. And I'm counting for her. That was 2. And if she doesn't go low enough, I'm not going to count it. Punch in the head doesn't count. There we go. And you do as many as you can in a row without stopping. There's no time for this test. Good luck. Here we have the standard push-up test. Mark's set up in the plank position. He's ready to start his test. In order to be successful, he has to bring his chest all the way down to the block and back up. That counts as 1, and I'm going to keep on counting as he goes through them. Now, if he doesn't go low enough, I'm not going to count it, and I will let him know so that he can change and make sure that he does the next one properly. He does as many in a row as he can without stopping, and when he can't do any more, he's done the test. Good job, Mark.
So now you...
Now the next test is a cardiovascular endurance test called 12-minute run. Now this shows how efficient your hearts and lungs are. Now a low score shows that you have a very weak heart and very weak lungs, which can lead to heart attack and strokes. Now very important, when you're doing the 12-minute run, is you count your laps. Now for some reason, if you have to stop because you're in pain or you're feeling nauseous, make sure you move to the outside of the track. Leave the inside for the people going really, really fast. Now after the 12-minute run is done, you're going to hear the buzzer go off. Make sure you take your pulse. Then 3 minutes after, you're going to take your pulse again. Good luck.
All right, we are at the final test of your Vanier Fitness Appraisal. This is the flexibility test called the sit and reach. Basically what we're doing is we're measuring your hamstring flexibility and your lower back flexibility. Flexibility in these 2 areas are very, very important. A low level of flexibility in these areas often ends up with the person having back problems or back pain in the future. So there are 2 areas that we really, really want you to understand if it's something that you need to work on. So what Joey has to do is he has to take his shoes off. Okay, he's going to put his feet flat on the box. All right, he's going to try and bend his hips and move forward a little bit. And then he's going to try and straighten his legs. So your legs have to be straight for the test. He's going to give me his hands. He's going to push his hands as far forward as he can. And I'm going to take his measuring for him in how far he can stretch in centimeters. And he gets his score, and you go to the verbal rating, and you see how you're doing. Good job, Joey.